Wouldn't it be great if you could ask your data anything at any time? Like, how are sales this quarter? How's the new marketing campaign performing? What does the overall health of the company look like? And actually get answers right away with charts and graphics and actionable information. You can with Domo's AI and data products platform. Domo lets you channel AI and data quickly, securely, and innovatively to deliver measurable insights wherever and whenever you need them. Anyone on your team can use Domo to easily prepare, analyze, visualize, automate, and distribute data, all amplified by AI. Domo goes beyond productivity. It's designed to transform your processes, helping you make smarter and faster decisions and drive real growth. All powered by Domo's trust, flexibility, and years of expertise in data and AI innovation. The world's best companies rely on Domo to make smarter decisions. See how Domo can help transform yours. Learn more at ai.domo.com. That's ai.domo.com.
The Agile Brand.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Agile Brand, where we discuss marketing technology and customer experience, trends, insights, and ideas with enterprise and technology platform leaders. We focus on the people, processes, data, and platforms that make brands successful, scalable, customer-focused, and sustainable. This is what creates an Agile brand. I'm your host, Greg Kihlstrom, advising Fortune 1000 brands on MarTech, marketing operations, and CX, best-selling author and speaker. The Agile Brand podcast is brought to you by TEKsystems, an industry leader in full-stack technology services, talent services, and real-world application. For more information, go to teksystems.com. Make sure to follow this podcast to get the latest episodes, and go to my website at gregkihlstrom.com to sign up for my newsletter and find my latest books. Before we get started, I wanted to make sure you know about my internationally best-selling book, House of the Customer. In it, I walk through practical steps on how brands can build the one-to-one, personalized, omni-channel customer experience we talk about on this show, and discuss ways to make incremental steps toward this goal. Don't just take my word for it. Destination CRM called it required reading, and I'm sure you'll agree. You can find House of the Customer on Amazon or learn more on my website, gregkihlstrom.com. Now let's get on to the show. Today we're going to talk about the importance of great data in digital advertising and how brands can maximize business impact by utilizing it correctly. To help me discuss this topic, I'd like to welcome Gruia Pitigoi-Aron, SVP Product at The Trade Desk. Gruia, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. Awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to talking about this with you. Why don't we get started with you giving a little background on yourself, your role at The Trade Desk, and maybe for those a little less familiar with what The Trade Desk does, just a brief explanation of what it is.
Sure. Yeah. So brief background on me. By training, I'm come from a computer science background, and I've been in the advertising space for almost 9 years now at the Trade Desk. Before then, I was at Microsoft. Generally went towards very sort of technical areas and technical problems. Though now at the Trade Desk, I run the whole product team, and that is globally, and that includes our user experience all the way to the backend infrastructure, and just help guide what we do next with the Trade Desk from a product perspective.
Great, perfect. Well, so we're going to talk about a few things here, and all centered around the importance of great data in advertising. So let's start with highlighting that importance of data. So starting with how data-centered digital advertising strategies based on good data help advertisers identify the right channels, the right time, the right vehicles to engage key consumers, ultimately leading to better outcomes. So, if all of this is driven by good data, what do we mean by good data? And, how do organizations know if they have it? And, why does it make such a big difference here?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll just say at the outset, right? In a nutshell, good data is really data that helps advertisers achieve their goals. That's what it is. Now, that data, I think, is critical at every stage of a campaign lifecycle. So that can be all the way from targeting, from insights, all the way to how money is spent, all the way to how things are measured. And so So that's sort of, again, good data in a nutshell. But I'd also say that the reason that it makes a big difference is, let's imagine you're trying to reach an audience that you know will buy your product. So being able to hone in on who those people are can make all the difference in how you effectively spend this budget and how it can be better for the consumers. So, for example, I am not in the market for an engagement ring, right? So, no
Right.
matter how much you advertise to me, I'm just not going to buy an engagement ring. Like, I'm already married. I don't need that. And so, you would waste that money on me. So, good data would help you to better hone in on who your particular target audience is. The other part that I'll say is, it's not just about reaching that audience, but also about measuring accurately what happened. There's this quote, no idea who came up with it, but people will say, "Hey, you can't improve what you can't measure." Right. And so I think that's really true in advertising as well. And so being able to measure and measure well makes a really big difference to that overall campaign performance and overall spending of your budgets really, really well. Of course, a lot more to be said here, but maybe I'll pause there and get your next thoughts here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that quote's from Peter Drucker. I might be wrong with that, but yeah, definitely a lot of good quotes from that guy. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about, totally agree with, it's you've got to be targeting the right person with the right thing, as great as your creative may be, you've got to be hitting the right person at the right time. What are some of the most prevalent challenges that prevent brands from having that good data so they are showing the right thing to the right person?
Yeah, so I think there are many challenges.
Yeah.
There are macro challenges, right? So if you look at the advertising environment and regulatory pressure that's being applied right now, it's increasing, more than ever. So what this has led to is Google working towards cookie deprecation. For example,
Yeah.
Apple has already removed Signal, and so what this does is it leaves brands and advertisers and publishers in a place where they need to take control of their own destiny when it comes to key data, when it comes to data. And so I'd say, like, that's a really big challenge to overcome. And so the way to do that is, I'd say every advertiser has to have an identity strategy, and every publisher has to have an identity and authentication strategy. So this is the way to move forward. This is the way to think about what's necessary. And I'd say it's the biggest mindset shift that needs to happen in advertising right now.
Yeah.
And then along with that, like, there's a lot of things that there are a lot of other challenges to overcome. But I would just say, in terms of what brands can do now, and how to work through some of these challenges, I'd say number one, don't settle. Like, don't settle for non-data driven advertising.
Yeah.
That's like going shopping blindfolded and hoping you're going to make a great meal that night. Okay, like, it's just not going to help you. Don't settle for non-data driven advertising. I would then say, invest in data and identity solutions for first party data. This kind of data will help brands, will help you make the best use of what you've collected through a direct relationship with the consumer. Really, really important. I would also say that when you're looking at sort of what kind of data you want, what kind of data you're collecting, the ability for that data to be deterministic, the ability for it to be transparent, to know how it was collected with the right consent, all of that is really key and part of your strategy of how you gather data that you can then leverage to use in your advertising campaigns.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I understand and I get that not everybody will have first party data and not everybody will be able to collect that. But here is an opportunity for you to be holistic. So, for example, let's say an insurance company, they might use Home Depot data to find new home buyers as their potential customers. So, then in this case, you could use retail data even if you don't sell things at Home Depot, but you're still using retail data to point you towards those customers that you're really interested in. So you need to be thinking about consumer experiences and signals, not just your sales channels. You might need to be thinking outside of the box in some of these cases.
Yeah, and to kind of to dive a little deeper in that, then, so you mentioned the mindset shift, and completely agree. I mean, the whole first party data strategy, just as kind of a broad umbrella term for a lot of this stuff, definitely Some companies are a little further ahead than others. Some that have not been direct to consumer, for instance, for many years, are now, they're really just kind of starting from scratch, right? But
Mm-hmm.
so there obviously there's a wide variation between, again, those that have been doing this for years still need to improve, and those that haven't. But given that gap, how should organizations look at, I guess, where do they start with investments in first party data if that really hasn't been a priority?
I think understanding, again, just coming back to like that strategy, right? Like, what is your identity strategy? What is your
Yeah.
authentication strategy where that applies? I think you can look at some industry solutions that are out there. For example, the trade desk has come forward a couple of years ago now in getting ready for this with our UID2 solution. This is the ability to have authenticated data, consented, transparent, safe, open source, and the ability for you to be able to start gathering those IDs and start leveraging those for your various strategies. So there are solutions out there. So definitely get not just get smart and have those sort of start those investments, but in many cases, like, the solutions are there already, and so it's time to start implementing. If you haven't already, it's time to start. And so companies like the Trade Desk are certainly here to help and come alongside with those sort of strategic conversations, which then lead to implementation that need to happen.
Yeah, yeah. So do you have maybe a real life example of this data driven success that we're kind of touching on? Maybe a story that demonstrates how relevant ads are delivered to target audiences effectively?
I do. I have one prepared, which is kind of
Yeah,
which is a
nice.
fun one. So Wells Food Service. This is the world's largest family-owned ice cream and frozen treat maker. So think, ice cream, yummy treats. So they were looking for ways to use their digital marketing dollars to drive sales for their ice cream brand, Halo Top. That's what the brand was
Yeah.
called. So they wanted to reach consumers at different stages on their paths to purchase with an efficient and effective media plan. Most of their sales happen in stores, okay, because nobody likes melted ice cream, right?
Right.
So that's where the sales happen. So they really needed to understand how their media investment was contributing to those sales, right? And in particular, their return on ad spend. So that's what they're trying to do. The solution they came up with is they turned to their agency, Gale, to activate an omni-channel campaign for Halo Top across display, mobile, online video, audio, digital home, and connected TV. As a side note, by the way, in your strategies, it's so important to be thinking across all channels. So important to be thinking omni-channel,
Yeah.
like Wells Food Service was doing. So they use Trade Desk's retail data solutions for audience targeting and sales measurement from Kroger. And the result that it drove is their campaigns delivered results that exceeded their expectations. They generated 470% ROAS, so return on ad spend, for their omni-channel campaign that targeted those Kroger audiences on our platform. So this was huge, right? Like 470% return ad spend increase, which then they could use that money to leverage into more advertising and more sales. So the key in this study, right, was omni-channel strategy, Kroger data, right, retail data, and being able to then leverage that in a platform that put all that to work. So a really cool case study in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, 470% of anything is pretty good. So,
Yeah,
but
that's right.
yeah, ROAS, absolutely. No, that's yeah, great example there. And good ice cream for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But last main topic I wanted to talk about is maybe a little broader about the ad tech and the martech space. And some of your experience, you've been doing product design and development for a number of years now. You have a couple decades of experience in this, and quite a bit of it, as you mentioned, in the martech and ad tech part of the technology business. How do you, having worked in a few different spaces, a few different companies, how do you keep and maintain a focus on innovation?
Yeah, I think again, just really, really good question and good pivot for us. So I think one key starting point is to stay rooted in the why. Like, why are we doing what we're doing, and the vision of our products. So, so I say that because it's not just our product is not just one that has strong adoption or is exactly what the customer is asking for. Strong adoption is a big part of it, But sometimes, and many times, great products, they not only garner great adoption, but they move the industry forward. And so when we stay rooted in the why, we're constantly thinking, how do we move the industry forward? How do we continue to enable sort of data-driven advertising, transparency, those kinds of things, which has led to really great solutions over the years, are, in identity and supply path, in a platform that leverages data deeply and increases transparency. This is I think I'm gonna hit my quota for quotes, but I'm gonna do one more quote, okay, and then that's it. No more quotes. But this one, Henry Ford, right? He was like, "Hey, if I had to ask people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses," right? This is like a really famous quote. But I was actually speaking to someone about this. What this gentleman was saying is that, look, in that quote, people often focus on the horse, right? You talk, well, I would have done a faster horse, but what we should be focusing on is the word faster, right? So people asking for something faster, we seem to focus on the horse, but if you focus on the faster, then you come up with these great solutions, right? You come up with a car and so on and so forth. Similar in advertising and how we listen to our clients, we focus on the need and really think way outside the box. Like, what does that mean for the product that we build? And it's not necessarily the thing that's being asked for. It's the sort of the verb there, right? It's the faster part as it applies to innovation.
Wouldn't it be great if you could ask your data anything at any time? Like, how are sales this quarter? How's the new marketing campaign performing? What does the overall health of the company look like? And actually get answers right away with charts and graphics and actionable information. You can with Domo's AI and data products platform. Domo lets you channel AI and data quickly, securely, and innovatively to deliver measurable insights wherever and whenever you need them. Anyone on your team can use Domo to easily prepare, analyze, visualize, automate, and distribute data, all amplified by AI. Domo goes beyond productivity. It's designed to transform your processes, helping you make smarter and faster decisions and drive real growth, all powered by Domo's trust, flexibility, and years of expertise in data and AI innovation. The world's best companies rely on Domo to make smarter decisions. See how Domo can help transform yours. Learn more at ai.domo.com. That's ai.domo.com.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I've never heard that focus on that. That's great. As with many other trends that have shaped themselves over the last several years, consumer data privacy, certainly one of those. You touched on the Google cookie deprecation, but we've been through GDPR in the EU. California followed a little bit after that, and now we're seeing in the United States alone, various states are enacting their own privacy regulations, as well as many places around the world. What's your perspective on how impactful these consumer data privacy changes are, and what does it really kind of point to in the areas that you work?
I think they have been impactful and they will be impactful, and it's pointing to innovation. It's pointing to better solutions, which I think is great. I think that focus on, all right, what do we do in this updated world that helps us to solve for consumer choice, helps us solve for privacy, and still gives us effective advertising? Those things are really good things. Consumer choice is a great thing. Privacy, a great thing. Effective advertising, great things. And so what we're seeing, right, is that advertisers are relying on first-party data a lot more, and they use that to build trust with consumers and also adhere to privacy regulations that emphasize that consent and that control over their data. I've also seen, and I mentioned this earlier, but I think it is worth repeating here, that there's a open source solution out there, for example, that Trade Desk came up with, but it is an industry solution, which is Unified ID 2.0, and that solves that challenge for consumers, advertisers, and publishers. We leverage encrypted email and phone number data to provide that privacy conscious, secure, and accurate identity standard for the entire digital advertising ecosystem. So this helps to not only protect that consumer privacy, but it also upholds that value exchange between free content on the internet and relevant advertising. I think so much explanation needs to continue to happen around the internet is supported by relevant advertising, right? And if
Yeah.
it's not relevant, then what publishers have to do is they have to often just provide a worse customer experience, more ads, more non-relevant ads. It just leads into a bad place for all the players in the ecosystem. So now, leveraging something like UID2, and UID2 is interoperable with other IDs that follow similar principles. This is now a scaled solution, and it's been rolling out as of a couple of years ago. So there's great adoption, great solution to leverage as a part of your identity strategy. So just to summarize this one, yeah, lots of implications, from that have happened as a result of GDPR and what Google's doing, what Apple has done. But I think the industry has come and has met the challenge with solutions such as UID2 and others. So it's a really exciting time because we can make it better for everyone, including the consumer, which I think is a really huge win.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I love the let's call it the optimistic perspective that data privacy, some of these constraints are actually making things better and more relevant versus kind of an eye roll and okay, well, if we must do this, then I guess we will. But like I love your perspective on this is actually improving not only for consumers, it's improving their, it's increasing their privacy, but it's actually helping brands have a more meaningful targeting and reaching the right people, which is what it's all about, right?
Yep,
So, yeah,
absolutely.
I love that. So one more topic here, we it's 2023, so we're going to talk a little bit about AI.
Oh, surprise, surprise! Yeah.
Yeah, right. Actually, I guess it'll be 2024 when the show airs, but still same thing.
Yeah.
It's contrary to what one might believe if they were away for many years. AI did not just show up in late 2022 with ChatGPT. Obviously it's been around for a very long time in some forms, but there's a lot of hype these days. There's a lot of different applications. There's many types of AI. I think the generative AI is getting a lot of the oxygen in the room, so to speak. But there's a lot of different types of AI. Is the hype a good thing, a bad thing for the industry? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing for the industry. I think technology in general is a great thing, right? And AI, I think is a really good thing. I just want to add like that relationship between AI and human. I think it's symbiotic. Like it can and should coexist. So AI, I think, is going to adopt some functions that maybe humans have historically owned. I mean,
Yeah.
back in the day, there were no calculators, right? And then we introduced a calculator, which made humans a lot more productive in doing some of that math, right? The calculator does for us. Like it didn't make us worse; it made us better. And I think similarly with AI, like this sort of innovation focus, if you will, on AI is going to give advertisers a lot more freedom to focus on these higher level responsibilities that will drive their business goals, and it'll free them from some tedious tasks like shuffling spend or doing all the bid adjustments, all the how should the price go up and down. At the trade desk, though, the way we look at this relationship again is very much the human will have things like hypotheses, and the machine will test those. The machine will run with those. The human will provide inputs. The AI will take those inputs and go from there and add sort of machine learning and add other pieces to it to provide a holistic campaign. So it's very much a addition. It's not a taking over. And I think it's going to lead to some really great results overall. Even in our UI, we go through great lengths to say and to show, hey, who's in control here? Is it the human that's now driving these decisions? Is it the AI? Is it a combination? What does that look like? So we try very hard, and I think we succeed in showing sort of just that relationship between human and AI and maximizing both. And that's a few of the reasons why I think this is a really exciting time in technology and in our industry in particular.
Yeah. That's great. So, in general, whether it's specific to AI or other things, what should buyers of ad tech and martech be keeping an eye out for, from the perspective of somebody on the inside?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of hard to sort of narrow down to
Sure.
a couple of things. But I will say, look, if you're not activating on connected TV, you should do that because video is remains one of the most effective ways for brands to influence hearts and minds of consumers. There's great data that can be leveraged on that channel, which is awesome. I would also though say, don't stop there. I think you have to leverage what happens on connected TV into other channels such as display, mobile, sort of back to that case study we were talking about, right? It's sort of this omni-channel approach to how you're spending your advertising dollars. So you can leverage each channel's strength as the consumer moves through the funnel to eventually, going and buying your product. But you can provide a really great holistic experience through, by leveraging data through every channel. And so I think that's a really big piece to keep an eye out for, a really big part to be considering as you're spending advertising dollars.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Gruia, thanks so much for joining the show. One last question before we wrap up here. So you've given a lot of great advice and insights already, but what's one next best action you'd recommend for those listening who want to make sure they're getting that ROAS, making sure they're using data most effectively in their advertising?
Yeah, I will highlight some of the things I've said already, which is
Sure.
If you're on the brand side, you really need an identity strategy. If you're on the publisher side, you need authentication and identity strategy. And then you need to leverage that data in a platform like the Trade Desk where you can put it to work across multiple channels with these tools that will bring the power of your data at your fingertips, helping you create hypotheses while at the same time also leveraging AI to help in the background to drive the best ROAS. I'd say in a nutshell, do that, and I think you're well on the way to some really great results.
Wonderful. Great advice. Well, again, I'd like to thank Gruia Pitigoi-Aron, SVP Product at the Trade Desk, for joining the show. You can learn more about Gruia and the Trade Desk by following the links in the show notes. Thanks again for listening to The Agile Brand, brought to you by Tech Systems. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to subscribe and leave us a rating so that others can find the show more easily. You can access more episodes of the show at www.gregkihlstrom.com. That's GregKihlstrom.com. While you're there, check out my series of best-selling Agile Brand guides covering a wide variety of marketing technology topics, or you can search for Greg Kihlstrom on Amazon. The Agile Brand is produced by Missing Link, a Latina-owned, strategy-driven, creatively fueled production co-op. From ideation to creation, they craft human connections through intelligent, engaging, and informative content. Until next time, stay agile.
The Agile Brand.